Hey Star Trek fans, Dan Gunther here with my scene-by-scene breakdown of the recent Star Trek Discovery Season 3 trailer that we got back on Star Trek Day. So yeah, a lot to talk about with this trailer. Like I said, I'll be going through it shot by shot, and then I'll kind of wrap up at the end with some of my thoughts about what a lot of this stuff means. So yeah, let's jump right in. So the very start of the trailer shows us kind of leaving off where season 2 ended, with Burnham leading Discovery through the wormhole. It looks as though they've transited through the wormhole and emerged on the other side. There seems to be a lot of debris. This may be from the battle that they just left, but also we'll see later in the trailer this may be something to do with the state of affairs in the future as well and where they end up. We also get a Burnham voiceover. We traveled into the future just to kind of catch us up on what may have happened at the end of season 2 for those of us who maybe aren't the obsessive Star Trek fans who watch a YouTube channel that picks apart every single minute detail in a trailer. The next shot may be directly lifted from season 2. It looks like the finale where we see the Discovery following Burnham, and Burnham, of course, is glowing red, wearing the Red Angel suit. The next shot, however, is definitely a new one. It shows Burnham tumbling. Her suit kind of powers down and she tumbles into this field of debris. Now, the debris looks like it could be Starfleet in origin. Over here, this could be a bridge section, saucer section from a ship, kind of that same negative space style that Discovery's saucer is, and a lot of other just kind of nondescript debris here as well. I think the impression is this is supposed to be Starfleet or Federation ships here. Burnham goes on 930 years, a one-way trip. So again, catching us up a little bit there. The next shot we see is of Discovery emerging from the wormhole. Doesn't look to be completely under control. She's kind of listing a little bit. Definitely not a powered flight here. She's kind of coming out sideways a little bit. And then these next two shots, again, I think are lifted from the season 2 finale. We have Suru on the bridge as they're going through the wormhole. That kind of the motion picture wormhole effect that they did at the end of season 2 there, with Suru's look of wonder on his face, and then the ship, the bridge shaking and debris flying. So yeah, definitely picking up right after where we left them in season 2. Now we get what is kind of my first wow moment of the trailer, which is Discovery plummeting towards the surface of this planet and seemingly firing phasers to possibly clear a path for it as it's coming in for a rough landing, also known as a crash. This is really great imagery. It really reminds me of Voyager crashing in the Voyager episode Timeless. So kind of evoking that feeling there. It's really gorgeous imagery. And looks like they're in for some rough times in season 3. We get another shot of Burnham tumbling towards this planet, which may be Terralisium, which was where they were aiming for at the end of season 2. There's tons of debris all around this planet. This one here, I had to kind of look twice. It looked, we're always looking for little patterns and stuff. This looked to me almost like a Borg ship debris. But it does, upon closer inspection, just appear to be kind of nondescript debris. This ship over here, I don't know. I feel like this makes an appearance later on in the trailer in Discovery's shuttle bay, but we'll get there. We'll talk about that when we get there, because I'm curious about this. And of course, Burnham is calling out for Discovery, calling Discovery come in, so it's clear at this point they're separated. She doesn't know where Discovery is. She's probably very much discombobulated from the tumbling she's doing here. So yeah, she's kind of lost and doesn't know where Discovery is right now. And we see Burnham's point of view, of course, as apparently she's crashing, and then we get the reverse view here, and it says impact imminent, if you'll notice on the bottom there. So yeah, she's crashing down towards this planet that looks very much like Iceland, interestingly enough, which is, of course, where they filmed this. And then for me, the second wow moment of the trailer, this image is incredible. This image of Discovery crashed on the surface of the planet, kind of crashed through what this looks to be a glacier here. We have the volcanic rock behind it, again, that Icelandic scenery. Now, if you notice in the sky, though, as well, we've got these kind of floating rocks, kind of Avatar style there. So, some interesting gravitational stuff going on this planet, it would seem. But yeah, this image is just beautiful and a little bit heartbreaking, seeing Discovery crashed on the surface of the planet like this. And I think we'll see later in the trailer some shots that I think take place after this that show Discovery in space. I could be wrong, but yeah, it looks like they will get out of this at some point. So then we get Burnham post-crash, pulling herself out of the crater she's probably created when she crashed. And the computer in the Red Angel suit confirms that she has reached the year 3188. So again, kind of late 32nd century here. We see Burnham getting out of the suit. She's got short hair here, which is showing, of course, this is close after where we see her in season 2. We'll see some changes to her look and hairstyle in this trailer that show that a lot of time has passed. We saw that in the first trailer as well, that there's a period of time where she seems to be separated from Discovery and a long time seems to pass. So I'm not sure if that will all be in the first episode, if they'll kind of time-lapse that and flash us forward, or if that will be a kind of condition of Burnham and the Discovery for the first few episodes of the season. So interested in finding that out. And we see the equipment pack that Burnham has with her, with the tricorder, phaser, and her insignia badge, and what I'm assuming are maybe transponders or something like that. We see a communicator off to the side there as well. So yeah, attempting obviously probably to make contact with Discovery and arm herself, depending on what she might find on this planet, if there's any life forms there. And she does ask the computer in the Red Angel suit, is there life here anywhere? And the computer replies that there are multiple life signs, to which Burnham has this jubilant reaction that I actually had a big grin at when I was watching the trailer. I really like the emotion, the relief that she's displaying here, because I feel like, when she says, is there life here anywhere, she's looking for Discovery and the crew, probably, but also, their mission was to prevent the end of all life in the galaxy. So the fact that there's any life there, I think, is, this confirmation that their mission succeeded on that level anyway. And her just overjoyed reaction was really, really great to see, that relief and joy at finding that out. This landscape shot here is really gorgeous. I can see why they filmed in Iceland to get these gorgeous vistas. We see a very stark landscape and Burnham's crash site there. Now, I've had the chance to visit Iceland a couple of times in my life, and it is absolutely beautiful and very otherworldly. The first thought I had when I was on the bus from the airport was thinking this looked like the surface of the moon. So yeah, no, there's some really cool scenery and imagery in Iceland that I'm really glad to see they took advantage of here. And we see that here with a couple of shots of the glacier and the lake, and again those Avatar style sky rocks in the sky there. So yeah, I'm wondering if we'll get a closer look at some of that scenery and what that looks like. I like modern Star Trek kind of doing this different types of scenery and different types of worlds. We saw that in Star Trek Picard on Nepenthe. The mountains in the background had those big arches and stuff like that. So, they're kind of experimenting with making things look a little different, not just using just Earth vistas to stand in for alien planets, but adding some interesting elements to that as well. We get our first glimpse of Suru and Tilly here, seemingly in civilian clothes. I'm assuming they're maybe on that planet that Discovery crashed on and investigating. And we also get Suru saying, "We are completely disconnected, but we are also together." So yeah, we see Suru in command. At this point, his badge indicates that he's a commander, so this is probably very shortly after they crash here. We'll see a change to that later in the trailer, which I will point out. So yeah, so some definite little clues to see where everything takes place. We see Detmer and Owoshikun hugging, and this seems to be like a moment of triumph or relief for the Discovery crew. And then after this, we get our first look in this trailer at Cleveland Booker, also known as Book, played by David Ajala. And he says to Burnham, "You're not from around these parts." And we, of course, see Burnham and Book in this Icelandic scenery here walking. And a little bit of exposition here from Book, who says the Federation mostly collapsed after the burn. And Burnham asks him, "What's the burn?" And he said, "The burn is the day the galaxy took a hard left." So this is really interesting. It seems that, the state of affairs in the galaxy at this time is because some sort of calamity, maybe environmental, maybe, technological or something like that. I have some theories, which I will share, I think, at the end of this video. But yeah, suffice it to say, things are not good. I don't think it's war. I don't think it's anything like that. I think it's some sort of natural disaster. That's the impression I'm getting here. So we see these people running through this, what could be termed a hellscape. There's kind of fire and explosions and debris around them as Book is talking about the burn and the state of affairs in the galaxy. So, things look pretty rough for the average Federation citizen at this time. Things do not look good. Now, this next bit is really interesting. We see a couple of people thrown by an explosion. This seems to be not in that hellscape. This seems to be kind of a well-appointed, technologically advanced area with these kind of white walls and that sort of thing. And if you look, you'll see a musical instrument on the wall there, a small one. And then the next shot, you see in the foreground what looks to be like a violin or a cello or something like that being thrown by this explosion as well. So I think this is some sort of, nicely appointed area that's being destroyed or attacked or something like that. I'm not sure exactly where this falls in with the whole everything else going on in the trailer, but it would seem to be separate from that kind of hellscape that we saw just a couple shots earlier. Then we get this shot of more debris, possibly again Federation ships. I'm not sure what this large structure in the middle is, but off to the right hand side there, it looks like maybe a piece of a Federation saucer section or something like that. So yeah, again, lots of debris showing some sort of calamity has occurred. So then we get this shot of Burnham and Suru, and I really like Burnham's line here where she says, "The Federation isn't just about ships, the Federation is its people." And we know this takes place much further along. We see Burnham with her long braided hair. So this would seem to take place far advance of what we've seen of Burnham crashing on the planet. Now, I also want you to look at Suru here. And we're going to zoom in on some detail on his badge here. He does appear to be wearing the rank of captain at this point. So is this a confirmation? Captain Suru gets the official nod as the commanding officer of the Discovery. It kind of looks that way. Let's just back up here for a second. We can't see Burnham's insignia. I'm assuming she's a commander. Burnham does appear, and I'm going to confirm this in other shots as well, because now I'm like, oh, I didn't write this down, and now I'm not sure. I think Burnham has gold trim on her uniform here, so she might be the first officer. So she had the science uniform previously. Now she may have a command uniform. So Burnham as first officer under Captain Suru might be what they're doing. And all the power to it. I think Suru really earned that command if that's the case. Then we get the unfurling of that Federation banner that we saw in a previous trailer with the much reduced number of stars, very simplified design, kind of maybe showing the diminished state of the Federation in this century. And we have Suru and Tilly passing through these saloon-style doors. There might be those floating rocks behind them as well. I can't really tell, but I'm assuming this is that planet that Discovery's crashed on again. And this gentleman here is speaking to Suru. I'm not sure what species he is. I've seen speculation online that he might be part Kelpian. I'm not really buying that. The features that he does have don't look Kelpian mixed with, human or something like that. I don't know. My money is on a different alien race. He does look oddly familiar somehow, though. But anyway, his dialogue is, "I've always believed that you were out there somewhere and that we were a part of the Federation no matter what." So My interpretation of this line is that the people of the Federation have been cut off from each other and possibly Earth and the core of the Federation. And they've, the idea that they're part of a federation has been handed down through the generations, but they haven't actually had contact with them for who knows how long. Could be centuries, something like that. But it does seem that, things aren't the way they are. Maybe not centuries, because we know that a century earlier, Daniels in the 30th century or the 31st century was part of the Federation doing his thing. So, I think they would have to stick to that canon-wise. So maybe just in the last century things have gone downhill. But yeah, it seems that they've been cut off from the Federation and, aren't sure that they're still out there looking after them. But, that belief is still being held alive by some people. Then we get this shot here. We hear somebody say, "Welcome to the future." We see Burnham and Suru. And again, yeah, Burnham's uniform looks to be the gold. I think she's in the gold command style uniform. We see one of the new characters that we've learned about, Adira. I think that's who this is here. The non-binary character played by Blue Del Barrio. She's with them in this area as well. And this setting seems to be very futuristic. It seems to be clean, well-appointed. There's holographic computer displays and an unknown alien of some sort off to the left-hand side. But this would appear to be an area that's doing well. Maybe somewhere where the Federation or Starfleet still has a presence of some kind. We get this shot of Stamets and I believe Jet Reno working in some sort of area. I think this might be on the Discovery. This kind of ladder way doesn't look familiar, but I'm still thinking this is the Discovery somehow. So in this next shot, we get what appears to be maybe a Starfleet officer from the 32nd century. She is talking to Reno, Stamets, and Tilly, and she's saying, dysfunction aside, you all make a pretty good team. Dysfunction is the team. We've just accepted it. And Reno says, no, we haven't. And, really fun little humorous moment. Interestingly enough, the graphic that they're looking at here is talking about a CME, and if you look closely, it's talking about a coronal mass ejection. So this would be a flare, a solar flare off of a star, not solar because that's Sol, but a star of some kind from an ejection from the corona of the star. So possibly, the emergency they're working on at the moment or something like that. I'm wondering, like I said, if this is a Starfleet officer from the future. I'm interested to see how they make contact with them. And if you look at this shot here, it looks like she has that future-y Starfleet logo maybe. It's hard to tell. It's a little hard to see from this angle exactly, but it does look like she's possibly a member of Starfleet of the future. Then we get a title screen, Far From Home. So, again, they're really emphasizing that fact that Discovery is very far removed from where they began. And we're back to Burnham and Book, and Burnham has the short hair, so this is shortly after landing on this planet, whether it's Terra Elysium or another one, talking to Book. Book says, "True believer." Burnham says, "Yeah." So I think they're referring to in the Federation and the ideas of Starfleet and that kind of thing. And he replies back, "Time traveler." And she says, "There was no other way." So I feel like this season, and we've heard similar things from the creators, that this season will be about the Discovery crew bringing hope to the future. So this is a future that has gone through some really rough times. Burnham and the crew will be bringing that sense of the optimism of the Federation back to the galaxy after it's kind of lost its way. So I think that's really interesting. I think that's a cool way to kind of reaffirm those Federation values that are a part of Star Trek. Then we get another title screen, Their Fight Begins. We get Giorgio in what may be a bar or something like that, and this guy here, who I'm calling Mullet, who says, "The thing is, you got no authority here." And Giorgio responds in a way to basically say, like you were saying, this one thing about Giorgio is you never want to imply that she doesn't have authority over people or control over people, given that she was the emperor of the Terran Empire. And, if you haven't already, just a quick aside, read John Jackson Miller's novel, Die Standing, to get kind of an insight into Giorgio's character and where she's come from since, being in the Mirror Universe and then joining Section 31, that kind of interlude part there. It's really good, really great to dive into her character and what makes her tick and what motivates her. So yeah, I see that really coming across here. I'm wondering if, those were similar notes given to the writer and to the actor and the writers of this season as far as Giorgio's character goes. Okay, and then we get Burnham, and here's the confirmation I was looking for. Okay, so she's in the gold command uniform. She's got the star on her badge, which indicates she's in the command division, and it looks to be 3 pips on the insignia. So she's a commander. She is first officer, I'm assuming, of Discovery at this point. She says, let's show them who we are. So again, I think bringing that ideal of the Federation back to the future here with what's going on. So kind of being an example for the rest of the Federation from a time where the Federation ideals were just a given and they were, kind of how things were done. And now in a future that has lost that, they're going to be bringing that spark of hope. And then the familiar Discovery spore drive sequence, kind of from a different angle from within the effect that it creates. I thought this was a really cool, gorgeous shot. So yeah, this feeds into my theory about what's going on in this season, which again, I'll get to right at the end. I think it's a theory that a lot of people have come up with, but I think it's an interesting one. We get Book firing this weapon and sending these Andorians flying who are attacking them. One thing I want to point out in this scene is this alien text above here. I'm not sure what that is exactly, but maybe somebody recognizes it. I don't know. And then we get Burnham's reaction to this, which is again this kind of, I'm loving Burnham's vocalizations and reactions. That sounds weird in this trailer. This one, I don't think it's a reaction to that weapon doing what it does. I could be wrong, but I feel like this is an editing thing. She's reacting to something else. But it's a fun reaction. I really like her in this scene. This shot of Discovery is the one that I think takes place maybe after she has crashed, because she does seem to be in control. She doesn't seem to be plummeting towards the planet. She's kind of heading towards this planet. So maybe this is pre-crash. Maybe this is her about to crash, but it does seem to be more in control than I would expect a shot of that ship about to crash. So in my opinion, it looks like maybe they get her off the surface and get her back in space at some point fairly early on. I don't know. Again, who knows where these shots are coming from, but I feel like this is after the crash. Then we get our first real close look at Blue Del Barrio's character, Adira. This is the first good look we've gotten at them, and they do appear to be human. So, I'm not sure. We will see a shot of them later in the Trill symbiont pool, and the other character played by Ian Alexander, Gray, is a Trill. And there seems to be some sort of connection between them here. We do get a look at Gray as well, a Trill. I'm curious to see their relationship, what their connection is, and what Blue Del Barrio's character's connection to Trill is, because like I said, we see them in the symbiont pool later. So yeah, I'm really curious about all of this. It's really cool to see a good close-up on these two characters, though, and kind of start to get to know them as we get closer to season 3. And yeah, they do have a connection. There's a tender moment where they're holding hands. I do like this shot too of Suru raising a toast to the crew, it looks like. And if we go left to right, we've got Owoshikun there, we've got Stamets, and then behind him, just his arm peeking out, I think is Culber. We'll see him in a shot with Stamets right after this. And then we've got Suru standing making a toast. We've got Reese over here, and we've got Bryce, the communications officer. And then I think this is Nan here, right over Kayla Detmer's shoulder. So this scene is really nice. They seem to be sharing a meal. I don't know if maybe this is while the ship is sitting on the planet. It looks like that maybe sunlight streaming through the window, but it looks to be a nice kind of tender family moment for the crew. And then we get this shot of Suru and a Vulcan exchanging live long and prosper Vulcan salutes. And behind them, you see the aurora on the planet behind them. So it's a really gorgeous moment. I'm curious who this Vulcan character is, of course. We have Burnham giving the voiceover. The Federation gave us the resources and the mandate to solve the biggest and most troublesome problems in the galaxy. So for some reason, the Federation is relying on Discovery to troubleshoot problems in this time. And again, I have a theory about this as to why that is, but I'll get to that in a second. We see Adira here in the Jeffries tube. This is a shot that we saw in the first trailer before as well. And then we see this thing being synthesized. I don't know if this is the Starfleet logo or what this is. Something's being kind of synthesized. But immediately following that, we do see Burnham putting the new Starfleet badge on, that oval one that we've seen in a few promotional pictures and stuff. They seem to be officially part of Starfleet in the future now. Interestingly, they're keeping their older uniforms. I guess maybe they just like them better. I'm not sure. But yeah, they've got the new logos and are officially part of Starfleet, it looks like. We have Book with this tool. He's flipping in the air. Looks like he's about to throw it. And we get this bridge shot of, from left to right again, Suru, two nondescript. I'm not sure who those are there. I believe that's Non there. Then we get Detmer and Tilly. And so this scene, which is still during the part where Burnham's talking about them being given the resources and the mandate to solve the problems of the galaxy, we see Burnham and Giorgio walking with what I think maybe an Orion. And again, this is kind of in a post-apocalyptic looking area. So this may be later. Burnham's got the long hair, so it's later in the thing. She's reunited, obviously, with some aspect of Discovery because Giorgio's there. And I think this is them doing this troubleshooting stuff for Starfleet somehow. So yeah, they seem to be working on missions for Starfleet, kind of bringing the galaxy back together at this point. This may also be the same site as the earlier fight/run that we see happening with Book and the Andorians and that sort of thing. Immediately after this, also, we get the shot of an Andorian with a beard. And I think this guy's like a sea captain Andorian. He's kind of this grizzled sea captain type character of an Andorian. And I'm wondering, like, have we seen an Andorian with a beard before? I know somebody brought up there was a character in the deep background in the motion picture who originally had a beard as an Andorian. I feel like I've seen an Andorian with a goatee, but that may have been a comic. But anyway, yeah, looks pretty good with facial hair here. And here we get a shot of Suru and Burnham looking at each other. And if we look at Burnham, we see she's got the new insignia on here, the long hair. So this would seem to take place way later in the kind of narrative here. But yeah, definitely a command uniform. And if you look, there's kind of three little dots on the side. I think that's her rank here as well. So the rank is still on the badge at this time. And then this part here that, seems to be a really heartwarming scene of a bunch of the crew at the base of this huge tree and Tilly kind of connecting with it. I'm wondering if there's some kind of symbolism here. We know that trees can live thousands of years. So maybe was this a tree that was really young when they were actually on Earth, if this is Earth or another planet or something like that? Like, is this a tree that's known by somebody on the crew, maybe Tilly, judging by her reaction to it? But if so, that's kind of cool. That's kind of a neat visualization of the passage of that time, if that's what they're going for here. I don't know. It's just something that popped into my head seeing these images. And then this shot, which I'm really curious about, it seems to be some sort of ceremony or something like that in the mess hall of Discovery. And if you look, there's like sconces on the wall with like torches kind of burning in them or something like that. And if you look, it looks like the Starfleet crew of the Discovery is on the left side, and on the right side maybe the new Starfleet of the future here, and they seem to be coming together maybe. I'm not sure exactly what's going on here. This one is kind of one of the shots that I have the most questions about, but it's interesting for sure. So there's something going on here. Something going on here. This is what you come to this channel for, these really deep insights. So during these last few shots, we hear Burnham's voiceover, and she's talking about, solving those problems. She says, "I may question and I may fear because the problems often seem insurmountable. But haven't we always risen to meet them?" So there will be challenges for the crew, of course. And it looks like Burnham's kind of giving a little bit of a pep talk here. as we see her in this next scene. Then we get the crew embracing in the spore drive section. I don't know if this is a reunion of some kind or if this is after a triumphant win of some kind. They've done something. But, I see Bryce, I see Stamets, Tilly, the Osnolus, as they call him, the big-headed guy. I think I see Bryce there. Detmer maybe, but yeah, it looks like they're all kind of coming together in a moment of triumph or happiness here. And then we get this final little scene with Burnham and Book. So Burnham says, we have work to do, but if things were easy, and Book replies, it wouldn't be worth it. And I really like the kind of dynamic between these two. While this is going on, there's kind of quick scenes. But first, this shot on the shuttle bay. This is where I'm wondering, is this ship in the background the same one that we see in that debris field earlier? There's some similarities there. I don't know if that's Book's ship or something like that. I don't know what's going on here, but I feel like there's something similar between these two. Maybe I'm just making something out of nothing, but they do look like there's some similarities there. But yeah, during this dialogue, there's really quick shots, end of a trailer, right? You get the quick montage. So we get Burnham and Book fighting with Andorians. This is from early on. We see Burnham's earlier short hair. We see Adira, I think this is Adira, in the Trill symbiont pool. And they look like humans, so interesting. Again, wanting to see what the connection here. These are would seem to be the Trill symbiont pools in the caves of Makala we first saw on Deep Space Nine, and that we saw in the previous trailer that came out in October of last year. We see Suru as captain, I think, with the new insignia. It looks like he's got a captain rank on there. And interestingly here, Burnham and Book about to kiss. So it looks like we've got some sort of romantic sparks happening between these two characters. Hopefully a little bit better taste in guys since Ash Tyler. Not, that there's anything wrong with Ash Tyler other than being an undercover Klingon who murdered a fellow crew member, yada, yada, yada. We just yada, yada, yada over that. It's fine. We get running from weapons fire and explosions. I paused this one. I thought it was really interesting. It looks as though there's these floating green and orange drones. We see one kind of up close here. But if you look at the explosion, it looks like there's a whole bunch of them over there as well. So interesting, these kind of drones. I don't know if they're the ones doing the firing or what's going on here. We get a fist bump, a nice little fist bump. And then closing out with this brand new logo, which I think is gorgeous. I love the idea that they've changed the logo from what it was in the first two seasons, because they've very much moved on from that. Things are very different. This is a new Starfleet, a new future. So it makes sense they've got a new logo here, bringing in this new era of Discovery. So, and then October 15th. So not long now that we have to wait to find out about all of this. Okay, summary thoughts about this trailer. I think this is one of my favorite trailers I've ever seen for anything in Star Trek, which is crazy to say, but it's definitely true. Now, the theory that I have is that the burn was some sort of damage, maybe to subspace or something across the galaxy that made it so that warp drive doesn't work, or maybe high warp speeds don't work, or something like that. Basically cutting off people from each other across the galaxy. So the Federation is basically paralyzed. They can't get resources to other planets. Maybe something like quantum slipstream, they don't have access to that technology anymore, or something like that. Basically, they're completely cut off and nobody can visit other worlds anymore in an interstellar way. Everybody's very insular and stuck in their own areas. Discovery comes from the past, and they have a spore drive, a technology that was lost when Discovery disappeared and that was never able to be recreated because, Stamets was on the Discovery and disappeared with the Discovery into the future. And the only other scientist who knew about it was his partner who was on the Glenn, who died early in season 1 of Discovery. So I think the Discovery brings that technology to the future and allows them to reconnect with these worlds, and therefore they use Discovery as like this troubleshooting ship to go on these missions to bring the Federation back together eventually. So yeah, I think warp drives no more for whatever reason it can't be used. I think the Discovery is the key to bringing the Federation back together. The Federation is using them for those ends. That's my main theory as to what's happening in season 3 of Discovery. I don't know. Do you guys think differently? What are your thoughts about this trailer, and what do you think season 3 of Discovery is going to show us and bring us about the Star Trek universe? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. Now, I've rambled on for a long time here, so I'm going to cut it short now by thanking the Patreon supporters for all of their help, of course, in bringing these videos to you, and giving you all a special thank you for watching these videos and sticking with this one especially till the end. I know a lot of people have been asking for this trailer breakdown. I hope this was sufficient. I feel like I got really into the weeds on this one, but it was a lot of fun. There's a lot in this trailer. Like I said, I think it's my favorite trailer ever of Star Trek, which is crazy to say, but there you have it. Thank you. Thank you so much for being loyal subscribers, watching all of these videos. You guys really make it worthwhile. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, as always, live long and prosper.